Father, this doesn't make any sense, Prince Ezechukwu said, pacing across the room. You are a king. How can you pretend to be a chef? What if someone recognizes you? What if they laugh at you? King Akachukwu leaned back in his chair, smiling calmly. Laugh at me? My son, a true king isn't afraid of being humble. If I want to find the right queen for you, I need to see how the maidens treat people they think can't help them. That's where their real character shows. Ezechukwu frowned, but there are easier ways. We can throw a grand party, invite all the noble families, and I will pick the best bride from them. Why go this far? Akachukwu stood and looked at his son firmly. Because being noble isn't about being born rich or pretty. It's about kindness, strength, and treating others with respect. A true queen isn't choosing in a ballroom. She proves herself in her actions. Ezechukwu sighed, but you are the king. Would they know who you are? Akachukwu chuckled, picking up a bundle of old torn clothes. Once I wear this, no one will recognize it's me. Even you might not recognize me. Ezechukwu shook his head, half in disbelief, half in admiration. This is crazy. No, my son, Akachukwu said as he placed a worn chef hat on his head. This is how we find a queen who is truly worthy of you in our people. In the great kingdom of Azule, King Akachukwu was known for his wisdom and strong leadership. His son, Prince Ezechukwu, was loved by the people, but the time had come for him to marry and find a queen to rule by his side. However, King Akachukwu wanted to ensure that the future queen was not just beautiful or from a wealthy family, but kind, compassionate, and worthy of the crown. Chike was the only child of a wealthy merchant and his wife. Her father had passed away when she was just a baby, leaving her mother Nneka to raise her alone. Nneka devoted her life to ensuring Chike never lacked anything. She spoiled her with fine clothes, jewelry, and servants, determined to shield her daughter from the pain of growing up without a father. When Nneka remarried a humble farmer named Adora, their lives changed. Adora came with a daughter, Adora, who was quiet, kind, and hardworking. From the day they became stepsisters, Chike saw Adora as a rival, someone unworthy of sharing her mother's attention. Chike made it her mission to remind Adora of her place in the household below her. Nneka encouraged this behavior, often siding with Chike and scolding Adora for the smallest mistakes. One morning, as the sun rose over their modest home, Adora worked tirelessly in the kitchen, preparing breakfast. Chike entered, yawning loudly and wrinkling her nose at the sight of Adora kneeling by the kitchen. Are you still not done? Chike said sharply, tapping her foot on the ground. You move like a snail. I'm starving. I'm almost finished, Adora replied softly, her hands trembling as she stirred the porridge. Chike smirked and snatched the ladle from Adora's hand. Let me show you how it is done, she said mockingly, deliberately spilling some of the porridge on the floor. Hoops, looks like you have to clean that up. Adora bit her lip, tears swelling up in her eyes. She knelt down to clean the mess, but before she could finish, Nneka entered the room. What's going on here? Nneka demanded. Chike pointed at Adora. She's so clumsy, Mama. She spilled the porridge all over the place. Nneka crossed her arms and glared at Adora. Useless girl. Can't you do anything right? You are lucky to even have a roof over your head. Clean it up quickly or there will be no breakfast for you. Adora silently wiped the floor, swallowing her tears. A few days later, a royal messenger arrived in the village with news that 7 maidens from across the kingdom would be choosing to stay at a villa and undergo training to become the future queen. Chike was overjoyed. "This is my chance," she declared, spinning in front of the mirror as Nneka adjusted the folds of her dress. "I've always known I'm meant to be royalty." "You make a perfect queen," Nneka agreed, beaming with pride. "You have beauty, grace, and charm. The prince will be lucky to have you." As Chike prepared to leave for the villa, Adora approached her shyly, holding a small package. "Chike, I sewed this scarf for you," Adora said, her voice timid. "You sew something for me? I don't need your petty gifts. Beauty does the magic." She snatched the scarf and tossed it onto a nearby table. Nneka chimed in. "Why are you bothering my daughter Adora? Go and clean the backyard. Chike has more important things to focus on." As Chike left for the villa, Adora watched from the doorway, clutching her scarf. Deep down, she hoped her stepsister would succeed, even if Chike had never shown her kindness. The 7 maidens chosen for the contest arrived at the villa on a bright sunny morning. The gates of the luxurious estate swung open, and the young women entered, chattering excitedly about their chances of becoming queen. At the entrance, they were greeted by Madam Ijoma, the street overseer of the contest. Beside her stood an elderly man dressed in a chief uniform, King Akachukwu in disguise. His punched posture and worn hands added to the illusion of an overworked servant. "This is the chef who will prepare your meals during your stay," Madam Ijoma said, gesturing towards him. "Treat him with respect, for he has been working here for many years." The maidens exchanged glances, and the mood immediately shifted. As the chef approached to welcome them, Chike, dressed in an elaborate gown, wrinked her nose. "This is the chef. It looks like he belongs in a retired home, not in a kitchen." The chef bowed slightly. "Welcome, my ladies. I hope to serve you well." Chike rolled her eyes. "Just make sure my meals are perfect. I have high standards and I don't expect to wait." Another maid, Ifeoma, smirked and crossed her arms. "Do you even know how to cook, old man? Or are you just here for decoration?" The chef smiled politely. "I will do my best to meet your expectations." Amara, one of the quieter maidens, shook her head and muttered under her breath, "This is embarrassing. A royal contest, and this is how it starts." She walked past the chef without another word. He came, a maiden with a haughty demure, snapped her fingers at him. "Carry my bags inside," she demanded. The chef hesitated. "I am the chef, my lady, not a porter." "Well, you look like one," he came retorted. "Do as I say." As the group moved towards the villa, Chike deliberately lingered behind. She watched the chef struggle to carry a large pot of water to the kitchen. Annoyed by his slow pace, she stormed up to him. "What is wrong with you?" she snapped. "Why are you so sluggish? At this rate, we will starve before you make anything." "I apologize, my lady," the chef said, wiping sweat from his brow. "The pot is heavy, but I will finish soon." "Excuses!" Chike shouted, raising her hand and slapping him across the face. "If you can't do your job, why are you even here?" The slap echoed across the courtyard, and the other maidens turned to look. Some gasped, but no one dared to speak up. The chef lowered his head. his cheek stinging. "I am sorry, my lady," he said quietly. Madam Ijoma, watching from a balcony, frowned deeply but remained silent. As the maidens settled into their rooms, their behavior towards the chef set the tone for their stay. Unknown to them, every insult, snub, and act of kindness was being carefully observed. The trials to find the future queen had already begun. The maidens had been at the villa for several days, and the tension between them and the chef had only grown. Chike, Ifeoma, Ikem, and other maidens continued to treat the chef with disdain. They made cruel remarks every time he entered the room, and his slow movements had become a target for their scorn. Chike in particular couldn't stand how the chef's presence made her feel uncomfortable. She saw him as beneath her, and it fed her growing anger. One afternoon, after the chef served them a meal, Chike and her companions sat around the pool gossiping. As they sipped their drinks and laughed, the chef walked by, trying to clear the table. His footsteps were slow, weighed down by the day's hard work. Ifeoma sneered, "Why do you move so slowly, old man? Are you even capable of doing your job properly?" The chef didn't respond, continuing his work in silence, but his presence seemed to irritate the girls even more. "Why don't you get out of our way?" He came back, standing up abruptly. "You're nothing but a useless servant. Who do you think you are?" The girls' mocking words stung, but the chef kept his head down, trying not to escalate the situation. But then Chike stood up with a malicious glint in her eyes. "Enough of this. I am tired of looking at you. You are making this villa look even worse." With a sudden movement, Chike grabbed a nearby pitcher of water and poured it over the chef's head. "Chike, stop!" Adora called from across the courtyard, but her voice was drowned out by the others' laughter. Chike's eyes were filled with anger. "If you can't clean up properly, you deserve to be cleaned up." Ifeoma and Ikem joined in, pushing the chef towards the pool with harsh words and jeers. The chef stumbled back, his arms flaying as he tried to keep his balance. "Stop! He's an old man," Adora shouted, rushing forward to intervene, but it was too late. With a forceful shove, Ikem pushed the chef into the pool. He fell with a loud splash, gasping for breath as he struggled into the cool water. Laughter filled the air as the girls stood around the pool, watching the scene with cruel satisfaction. Adora's heart raced with panic. She couldn't believe what she had just witnessed. Without thinking, she rushed forward, her feet pounding against the ground. Ignoring the mockery from the other maidens, Adora jumped into the pool without hesitation, her dress soaking up the water as she swam towards the struggling chef. "Hold on," she called out as she reached him, her voice full of urgency. The chef, gasping for air, looked at her in surprise. "You shouldn't help me. They will punish you." "I don't care," Adora replied fiercely, wrapping her arm around his waist and pulling him towards the edge. "No one deserves to be treated like this." With a final effort, Adora helped the chef to safety. The cold water dripped from him as he clung to the side of the pool, gasping. Adora pulled herself out, standing beside him, her heart still pounding from the adrenaline. The other maidens, who had been laughing moments earlier, fell silent at the sight of Adora's acts of kindness. Chike glared at her, furious. "What are you doing here?" Chike hissed, her voice sharp with anger. "You are wasting your time with that old man. He's beneath us." "I don't care what you think," Adora said, her eyes fierce with conviction. "No one deserves to be treated that way." Chika stormed towards Adora, her eyes blazing with anger. How dare you interfere? You are nothing but a lowly servant girl, and yet you are trying to act like you are better than the rest of us. Adora stood her ground, her wet dress clinging to her skin as she faced Chika. I couldn't just stand by and watch you all treat him like that. He may be a servant, but that doesn't give you the right to humiliate him. No one deserves to be treated that way. Ha! Chika sneered, folding her arms across her chest. And what? You think you are some kind of saint because you helped him? You are just pathetic, Adora, always trying to make yourself look good in front of everyone. But you will never be one of us. You are always a servant, and you always remain a servant. Adora's eyes narrowed. You don't know anything about me, Chika. You can mock me all you want, but I won't stand by and let you hurt people just because you think you are better. You are nothing, Chika shouted, her face red with rage. Just a poor, stupid girl pretending to be noble. You'll never be part of this world, so stop acting like you belong here. At least I have some decency left, unlike you, Adora retorted, her voice rising in defiance. You are nothing but a spoiled brat who thinks the world revolves around you. You don't even care about anyone except yourself. The tension was so thick that it felt like it could explode at any moment. But just as it seemed like the argument would escalate further, a calm, stern voice cut through the chaos. Enough! Madam Ijoma stepped forward, her presence commanding the attention of everyone in the courtyard. She had been observing the entire situation from the balcony and had seen more than enough. The maidens immediately quieted down, looking at the woman with nervous eyes. Chika, Madam Ijoma began, her voice firm. Your behavior has been completely unacceptable. Humiliating a man who is simply doing his job, insulting your fellow maidens, and showing no respect for anyone around you, it is disgraceful. Chika opened her mouth to protest, but Madam Ijoma raised a hand to silence her. As for you, Adora, I've seen your kindness, your courage, and your willingness to stand up for what is right. You have earned my respect, and I believe you are more than worthy of taking part in this contest. From this moment on, you will be officially included in the selection process. What? Chika shouted. You can't be serious. She's nothing but a peasant. I am serious, Madam Ijoma said, her tone unwavering. Kindness and integrity matter more than beauty and arrogance. Adora will compete, and there's nothing you can do to change that. Chika was setting, her fist clenched at her side. She glared at Adora, her voice laced with venom. You may have won this round, but I'll make sure you regret it. Adora stood tall, unflinching in the face of her sister's hatred. I didn't do this for you, Chika. I did what was right. Madam Ijoma turned to the rest of the maidens. You are all here to prove yourselves, not just to the prince, but to the people of this kingdom. Your actions, your behavior, and your heart will determine who will become the next queen. And with that, she dismissed them. The maidens were divided into teams to prepare a meal for the royal family. Adora and Chika were forced to work together, but Chika immediately took control. I am doing the main course, Chika said arrogantly. Adora, you handle the side dishes. The rest of you can do the smaller jobs. Adora nodded quietly, not wanting to cause conflicts. She focused on chopping vegetables and making sure the side dishes were perfect. Meanwhile, Chika was bossy, snapping at the others. Hurry up, we don't have all day, she yelled, pushing everyone around. Adora stayed calm, helping well needed and making sure everything was in order. She worked with the others, showing kindness and encouraging teamwork. As the meal neared completion, Chika burned the main dish, making it dry and unappetizing. "This is ruined," she yelled. "I can't believe this happened." Adora, without complaining, stepped in. "Let's add some of the sauce from the side dishes. We can still save this." But Chika refused to listen and shoved Adora away, knocking over a pot of soup in the process. "I don't need your help." The rest of the maidens watched in silence as Chika's frustration boiled over. Madam Ijoma tasted the main dish first and frowned. "This is overcooked," she said. "This meal is not up to standard." Adora stepped forward, explaining the side dishes. "The dishes are fresh and flavorful," she said quietly. "I think they could be appreciated on their own." Madam Ijoma tasted the side dishes and nodded. "These are well prepared and show great care." She turned to the group. "Chika, you showed poor leadership and failed to manage your team." Adora, despite the setback, kept her composure and did her best. "You will join the contest." Chika glared at Adora, furious that she had been overlooked. "This isn't over," she muttered under her breath. Prince Ezechukwu, dressed in regal attire, sat beside his father, King Akachukwu, the chief, who disguised as a servant, observing the maidens. "Father, I am ready to make my decision," Ezechukwu whispered to the king. "Not so fast," King Akachukwu replied with a sly smile. "One final test remains." Ezechukwu frowned. "Another test? Haven't they been through enough?" The king leaned closer. "Trust me, my son. A true queen must have integrity and self-control. Let's see who possesses those qualities." Ezechukwu sighed but nodded. He trusted his father's wisdom. The chief, who had been secretly orchestrating the test, put his plan into action. He hired several men to pose as wedding suitors, each instructed to approach the maidens with sweet words, promises of riches, and alluring charm. That evening, the maidens were invited to a private banquet in their honor. The disguised suitors mingled with them, showering them with attention. Chika, eager to secure her future as queen, was the first to fall for the trap. A handsome man whispered promises of wealth and power, and she followed him to a private chamber. One by one, the other maidens succumbed to the suitor's advances, each hoping to gain an advantage in the contest. Adora, however, remained vigilant. She noticed the strange behavior of the suitors and declined their advances politely. She spent the evening quietly, keeping her focus on the contest and her values. The day had finally arrived for the prince to choose his bride. The maidens, dressed in their finest attire, were lined up in the grand hall. The nobles and villagers filled the room, eager to witness the momentous event. Prince Ezechukwu stood at the front, his regal presence commanding attention. The maidens courtesied, each hoping to be chosen. The chief, who had always been in the background, now walked confidently into the room. The maidens murmured, confused by his sudden appearance. "What is he doing here?" Chika whispered, glaring at him. Before anyone could question further, the chief stepped onto the raised platform beside the prince. He removed his chief hat and straightened his posture, his commanding aura silencing the room. Then, to everyone's astonishment, he sat on the throne. "I am King Akachukwu," the man announced, his voice resonating through the hall. Gasps echoed as the maidens stared in disbelief. "You?" Chika stammered, her face pale. "You are the king." "Yes," King Akachukwu replied, his piercing gaze sweeping over the maidens. "I disguised myself as a chief to observe your true character, to see not how you treat a king, but how you treated a man who you believed to be beneath you." The maidens looked at each other, panic flashing in their eyes. "I saw everything," the king continued. Some of you were kind and respectful, but most of you showed your true colors: pride, cruelty, and selfishness. His eyes landed on Chike, who shifted uncomfortably. The room grew tense as the king signaled for the disguised suitors to enter. The men who had lured the maidens stepped forward and bowed. "These men," the king said, "were part of a test. They approached you with promises of wealth and power. Most of you failed, choosing temptation over integrity." The maidens' faces turned red with shame as murmurs spread through the crowd. Chike stepped forward, desperate to defend herself. "Your Majesty, is not what it looks like. They tricked us." King Akachukwu's voice was firm. "No one forced you to act dishonorably. Your actions revealed who you truly are." The maidens bowed their heads, their dreams of becoming queen shattered. The king's gaze softened as he turned to Adora. "But one among you showed unwavering integrity. Adora, you resisted temptation, treated others with kindness, and remained true to your values." The crowd erupted in applause as Adora stepped forward, her head held high. Prince Ezechukwu smiled, taking her hand. "Father, you were right. A queen must have a heart of gold. Adora, you have proven yourself worthy." Chike, overwhelmed with anger and humiliation, stormed out of the hall, unable to face the truth. In a grand ceremony later that day, Adora was crowned queen. She stood beside Prince Ezechukwu, her heart full of gratitude and joy. King Agachukwu addressed the crowd. "Let this be a lesson to all. True greatness lies not in wealth or status, but in the strength of one character." The people cheered, celebrating their new queen, who had risen from humble beginnings to lead the kingdom with grace and wisdom.